Inquisitor, I've found where the Red Templars come from. Therenfall Redoubt. The Knights were fed red lyrium until they turned into monsters. Samson took over after their corruption was complete.
How do you know Samson?
He was a Templar in Kirkwall, until he was expelled from the Order. I knew he was an addict, but this... Red lyrium is nothing like the lyrium given by the Chantry. Its power comes with a terrible madness.
The Red Templars swarming Haven were proof enough.
We cannot allow them to gain strength. The Red Templars still require lyrium. If we find their source, we can weaken them and their leader.
Are you angrier at Corypheus or Samson?
I don't know. Samson at least should know better. Caravans of red lyrium are being smuggled along trade roads. Investigating them could lead to where it's being mined. If you confront them, be wary. Anything connected to Samson will be well guarded.
Strangest thing, when I reached down, my dagger was gone. Just gone. Know where I found it? In a barrel. The thing was filled to the brim with daggers. Got the strangest feeling. I know someone took it right off my belt, but I can't recall who.
Yes? I heard something of what happened in Ferelden. How is it you weren't executed?
When your mistakes are public, everyone feels they have the right to a personal apology. In the final hours of Blight, the Wardens were short-handed. They needed every soldier they could get. The rest of my life will be my penance.
How did you end up an enemy of the Wardens again?
When the calling began, I searched as much as anyone for an answer. I protested the rituals, but faced little resistance until I began to investigate the death of Corypheus. Warden mages branded me a traitor and attacked. When I defended myself, Clarel ordered my death.
Corypheus was imprisoned by the Wardens, right? So they must know who or what he is.
Secrets are a habit with the Wardens. One that costs many lives. Some knowledge is too dangerous to share. I knew little of Corypheus, and that was more than most. No one thought that knowledge could be vital.
I'd like to know more about Warden Commander Clarel.
I've served under her since coming to Orlais. She seemed fair, or dedicated. Perhaps that was the problem. I, more than anyone, know the cost of too much dedication.
Do you think Clarel is acting of her own volition?
Calling does not control minds, and I doubt Clarel could fall to Corypheus without others noticing. Whatever mistakes she makes of her own accord. Hopefully we will learn more in the Western approach.
I'll talk to you later.
Of course.
Inquisitor.
Inquisitor?
Really? You did not notice? I had no idea Lady Beverly was one of your people. You might have told me before I embarrassed myself. Let's see what we have.
Inquisitor.
Let's see what we have. Inquisitor?
Inquisitor, I've something for you.
No good. We'll have to find another way.
song never sang for them. They were lucky.
You're shitting me. You're sure these demons aren't moving? frozen. I don't think this was the Venatori.
No. I'd say some ancient Tevinter decided to alter time. I'm surprised it didn't go better.
Whatever's happening has already started. We saw lights coming from the tower.
It has to be blood magic. I hope we can stop them before more people get hurt. You take point. I'll guard your backs.
Wait! No.
Warden Commander Clarel's orders were clear.
This is wrong!
Remember your oath. In war, victory. In peace, vigilance. In death...
I'm sorry.
Sacrifice. Good. Now bind it just as I showed you. Inquisitor, what an unexpected pleasure. Lord Livius Erimond of Virantium, at your service.
You're no warden, mage.
But you are. The one Clarel let slip. And you found the Inquisitor and came to stop me. Shall we see how that goes?
It looks like you've already done some of my work for me.
What, him? We simply needed his blood. Oh, were you hoping to garner sympathy? Maybe make the Wardens feel a bit of remorse? Wardens, hands up! Hands down.
Corypheus controls them.
They did this to themselves. You see, the calling had the Wardens terrified. They looked everywhere for help.
In desperation, they turned to the Imperium.
Yes, and since it was my master who put the calling into their little heads, we in the Venatori were prepared. I went to Clarel full of sympathy, and together we came up with a plan. Raise a demon army, march into the deep roads, and kill the old gods before they wake.
Ah, I was wondering when the demon army would show up.
You knew about it, did you? Well then, here you are. Sadly for the Wardens, the binding ritual I taught their mages has a side effect. They're now my master's slaves. This was a test. Once the rest of the Wardens complete the ritual, the army will conquer Thedas.
Do you really want to see the world fall to the Blight? What do you get out of this?
The Elder One commands the Blight. He is not commanded by it, like the mindless Darkspawn. The Blight is not unstoppable or uncontrollable. It is simply a tool.
No, Livius, you're the tool.
As for me, while the Elder One rules from the Golden City, we, the Venatori, will be his god-kings here in the world.
Why would Clarel risk using demons?
Demons need no food, no rest, no healing. Once bound, they will never retreat, never question orders. They are the perfect army to fight through the deep roads. Or across Orlais. Now they are bound to my master.
Why would the Wardens try to kill the old gods?
A blight happens when Darkspawn find an old god and corrupt it into an archdemon. If someone fought through the deep roads and killed the old gods before they could be corrupted... Woof! No more blights, ever. The Wardens sacrificed their lives and saved the world. Although I fear history will remember them a little differently now.
So Corypheus influenced the Wardens and made them do this ritual?
Made them? No! Everything you see here, the blood sacrifices to bind the demons, the Wardens did it of their own free will. Fear is a very good motivator, and they were very afraid. You should have seen Clarel agonize over the decision. Burdens of command, I suppose.
That's all I needed to know.
Oh, please. The Elder One showed me how to deal with you in the event you were foolish enough to interfere again. That mark you bear, the anchor that lets you pass safely through the veil, you stole that from my master. He's been forced to seek other ways to access the Fade. When I bring him your head, his gratitude will be... Ah! Kill them!
They refused to listen to reason.
As you feared, the mages who completed the ritual are under the thrall of Corypheus.
And the Warden warriors? Of course. Sacrificed in the ritual. What a waste.
Human sacrifice? Demon summoning? Who looks at this and thinks it's a good idea?
The fearful and the foolish.
Despite their lack of wisdom, they acted out of necessity.
All blood mages do. Everyone has a story they tell themselves to justify bad decisions. And it never matters. In the end, you are always alone with your actions.
In the direction Eramon fled, the only structure of note is an abandoned Warden fortress, Adamant. I suspect we'll find the Wardens there. I suppose it's fortunate a friend once gave me some old maps.
Good thinking.
The Warden and I will scout out Adamant and confirm that the other Wardens are there. We'll meet you back at Skyhold.
This might be a decent place for a spot of camping.
This might interest you, sir.
The trail leads on.
Visitors. Thank the Maker. It's been so long since I've spoken to anyone. Have you come to observe the wildlife too?
I think I found your supplies. A dead man out in the desert had these on him.
Dead? Blessed Andraste. What about Marcus or Jeannette? This is terrible news. I am Frédéric of Serrault, foremost researcher of draconology in Orlais. I came here with an expedition from the university. But the others are all missing, and our work has been halted. White Claw raiders have made off with much of our supplies. You will help me reclaim the equipment, will you not? You will champion the advancement of science.
I have the supplies you were waiting for right here.
Now that I have my recipes back, I'll be able to concoct a bait the High Dragon cannot resist. I have most of what I need, but I still need to gather quillback intestines and a phoenix's tail feather.
You study dragons. I'd be interested in hearing more about that.
Oh, they are fascinating and little understood creatures, thought extinct for centuries. Now they seem to be making a comeback. The Nevarrans wrote extensively on breeding and nesting behavior, but high dragon hunting patterns have never been studied. I would be most interested if you come across any Gurn corpses that might be victims of dragon attacks.
Tell me about yourself.
I am a professor at the University of Orlais. I have made it my life's work to write the definitive monograph on the hunting habits of dragons and their closest kin. On this trip alone, I have produced 20 scrolls of notes, more scholarship than has ever been done on the Southern Vargest. But my hope, my great ambition, is to observe the abyssal High Dragon taking her prey, a sight no scholar has ever recorded.
We'll have to speak some other time.
We can rule out Venatori for this. Not enough blood splattered everywhere.
Corypheus, one of yours, isn't he?
One of mine? Like a pet? Like a giant darkspawn hamster with aspirations of godhood? Dorian, why can't you look after your little friends? Corypheus peed on the carpet again. In this analogy, The carpet is Haven.
Is he or is he not a Tevinter Magister?
Meaning the source of everything bad and evil in the world? They are the same, yes?
Certainly feels that way at times.
No one to watch over, your worship. We either have many friends, or you've made short work of enemies.
Inquisitor.
Inquisitor?
Yes?
I wanted to ask you about the Circle of Magi.
Of course. What do you wish to know?
How did we come to this state where the Circle's in revolt?
A failure of perspective that infected Circle leadership. Mages lived solely in a world of Templars and mages. They could not even imagine what was beyond the tower walls. Kirkwall gave the world a reason to remember its fear of magic. A mage killed hundreds with a snap of their fingers. Across Thedas, a new tangible fear of magic grew. Commoners and nobles alike called out to the Chantry for protection. But the malcontents in the towers thought nothing of this. They cared only for themselves and for their anger at the new Templar restrictions. When a mage attempted to assassinate Divine Justinia, again, the mages protested the investigation. The leadership chose to vote on independence based on the intolerable conditions imposed by the Templars, sparing no thought to the fact that magic was more feared in the aftermath of these attacks than it had been since Tevinter's day. So long as they had their freedom, they could care little for riots, angry mobs, or about pitting mages against each other.
Are you familiar with Grand Enchanter Fiona?
We've met. Before her horrendously ill-timed and selfish vote for independence, I thought her adequate at her job. In her dotage, she could not handle looking after the well-being of so many people. We would have done better to replace her years ago, to let her spend time gardening.
Did they have cause to rebel?
In the aftermath of their terrorist attacks? Was that really the most opportune time to break away? By all means, protest abuses by the Templars. Just don't do it in a way that says mages support wholesale murder. By voting when they did, my colleagues all but declared war upon the ordinary people of Thedas. A war in which we are outnumbered 100 to 1.
I thought the fighting was only between mages and Templars. Why are mages fighting mages?
The vote for independence was carried by only a small margin, but Fiona chose to let the motion stand. Those who opposed a rash declaration of war against the entire free world had little choice. By breaking from the Chantry when they did, the rebels declared themselves in support of mass murder. Anyone who did not wish to support terrorism and the slaughter of innocents was forced to take arms against the rebels.
the request the leader of the tradesmen made.
Yes, I'll see to it.
Inquisitor.
What is your evaluation of how we're doing?
Adequate. Based on the partial improvements to Skyhold.
As you were.
Yes, Inquisitor.
I met Loghain long ago, when I was a Grey Warden. Odd, he should be one now, while I am not. His suspicion of us bordered on the fanatical. It doesn't surprise me you found the Wardens mixed up in all this. From first-hand experience, you should be wary any time my old order is involved.
You were once a Grey Warden?
Mine is an unusual circumstance, Inquisitor. Normally one is part of the Order until death. But long ago I found myself stripped of what made me a Warden. They tried to reinitiate me, but nothing worked. Nor could they figure out how it happened. So I was sent to the Circle of Magi, the first Warden ever to be kicked out. Quite the achievement.
You sound happy about it.
Becoming a Warden seemed like a dream when I was first conscripted. Towards the end, however, my brothers and sisters, they felt I had somehow cheated death. I was glad to leave. It also made me unique in the Circle. I had an opportunity to do more than I ever could as a Warden.
You mean you began the Mage Rebellion?
I pushed for our vote to free the Circles of Magi, but I cannot claim sole responsibility for what followed. Still, despite all the chaos, I would do it again. What happened had to happen.
You're not still the Grand Enchanter, then?
Any claim I had to the title ended along with the Circles of Magi, although some still call me by it. Perhaps the Circles will one day be resurrected. If so, another will take the position. Until that time, I lead my fellow mages by default. I will do what I can for them.
You believe they'll recreate the Circle of Magi after all this?
It depends on who the next Divine is, and what she offers. We can't go back to the way things were. But endless warfare benefits no one. That is why I agreed to Justinia's conclave. There must be another solution.
I've been meaning to ask, how exactly did the Venatori take control in Redcliffe?
Mages constantly found their way to us while we were there. Stragglers, most of them strangers. I had no way of knowing some were actually Tevinter. They spread whispers, encouraged talk of an alliance, and we were desperate. I'm not proud of our choice, but we were certain Templars were coming. It could have ended far worse.
I trust everything is well with the mages?
There have been a few scuffles with your Templars, but overall, it is going well.
I'll leave you to it. Anything interesting?
A letter regarding Felix, Alexius's son. He went to the Magisterium, stood on the Senate floor and told them of you. A glowing testimonial, I'm informed. No news on the reaction, but everyone back home is talking. Felix always was as good as his word.
Was?
He's dead. The Blight caught up with him.
Are you all right?
He was ill, and thus on borrowed time anyhow.
It doesn't mean you can't regret his death.
I know. Felix used to sneak me treats from the kitchens when I was working late in his father's study. Don't get into trouble on my behalf, I tell him. I like trouble, he'd say. Tevinter could use more mages like him. Those who put the good of others above themselves.
You make it sound like he was a better person than you.
What a mad thing to say. Few people are better than I. Very well, a better person, clearly, not nearly as handsome. Thankfully, Felix wasn't the only decent sort kicking around Thedas. I could watch you roam Skyhold all day. Here and there you run, checking in on your followers. Why don't they come to you, feed you grapes, rub your shoulders? I suppose it's more fun this way. For me, I mean. You're rather strapping.
Thank you, I suppose.
Thanking someone for a deserved compliment is always the correct choice. At any rate, you didn't pass by to hear me fawn. Something on your mind?
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Popular topic. Anything specific?
There's an Imperial Chantry, isn't there? With its own divine?
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Is the Imperial Chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.
There are circles of magi in the Imperium?
We don't have dismal little mage prisons, if that's what you mean. They're academies, prestigious ones. We have Templars as well, but they don't cancel spells or whatever your Templars do. They're soldiers. They watch for abuse of magic, yes, but only those who are weak or who fall out of favor get dealt with. Mostly they enforce the Magisterium's edicts. The Chantry smiles and nods from the sidelines.
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south, they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah blah blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
So, the Imperial Divine is always a man?
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female majesties who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry. It is a relic, whether back home or here in the south. Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
I share your opinion, actually.
That's not surprising, considering what the Inquisition represents. I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry, but I believe in you.
In me?
That the Maker sent you, whether through Andraste or fate. Cassandra is not wrong. You saw that in the future, without you, Corypheus prevails. You are our bulwark against evil.
I'm not sure about that, myself.
Doubt is good. I like doubt. It will keep you sane. Me? I've seen too much to believe I know everything. The world is bigger than I. Even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know. The Maker doesn't need me to believe. But I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
Let me ask you something else.
So many questions.
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's the center of the slave trade.
Ah. That is true.
And did you have slaves?
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. I'm not even certain many slaves do.
You think slaves like it that way? Don't be ridiculous.
I didn't say they like it. It's all most of them know. In the south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have no way out. Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a family. Some slaves are treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
Is that what you call it? Treated poorly?
Abuse heaped upon those without power isn't limited to Tevinter, my friend. I don't know what it's like to be a slave, true. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
That's all I wanted to know.
Fair enough.
I should go.
You know where I'll be.
Reports of fade rifts and demons keep coming. The people are terrified, and it's only getting worse. The only thing that will calm their fears now is the hope that someone out there can save them. To be that someone. No one else has any power over the rifts. Seal them. Your legend will spread, and Thedas will learn to trust the Inquisition.
In Redcliffe, you sacrificed yourself so that I could return here.
Of course I did. One small life in exchange for a second chance at history. I always loved a bargain.
It was still a sacrifice, and still noble.
And I would do it again.
Anything I should know?
It seems that the Orlesian army is awaiting our next move. Some of the generals are sympathetic to our cause, others are still suspicious. Our actions are under a great deal of scrutiny.
They called you the left hand of the Divine.
That they did? What of it?
What is the point of an Inquisition?
Justinia would have started the Inquisition if the Divine Conclave failed to restore peace. She hoped that with enough support, we could challenge the very tenets of the Chantry. She wanted the Chantry to treat the mages fairly. But sometimes I wonder, why stop at mages? The Chantry has committed many injustices. If we're going to change it, why not change the whole thing? It's just a thought. None of this will be possible if we fail.
I'll try not to break anything.
That's good to hear.
I could use the left hand of the Divine at my side out there.
Every agent out in the world is my eyes, my ears, my blade. Wherever my people are, I am also. Coming with you, leaving my post, would blind and bound me. Do you see?
What exactly does the left hand of the Divine do?
A Divine always has enemies, and Justinia had more than most. I protected her. I watched, had an ear to every door. I identified threats, and I dealt with them.
Why did Justinia have so many enemies?
There were many who felt she was unfit to be divine. She had a past, a worldly life. Unlike many, she wasn't given to the Chantry as a child. She chose it. And somehow that made her unworthy. And because they thought she was unworthy, they wished her harm.
You still haven't told me what you did exactly.
I handled difficult situations that couldn't be resolved through more delicate means.
We'll talk more later.
Inquisitor?
As you were.
Yes, Inquisitor.
We must stop the Wardens from carrying out this insane plan, Inquisitor. To seek out these old gods deliberately, in some bizarre attempt to preempt the Blight.
Calling the army of demons. That's my favorite part.
The demons are nothing. They're a tool.
A tool that gives Corypheus an army.
That's not the point. Even if they could succeed, the entire idea is wrong. The Blight is not something one smugly outsmarts. Forgive me. The entire idea is unnerving. Hello?
We'll talk later.
Goodbye.
Your worship.
Inquisitor.
What did I tell you?
Your worship?
Can you think of any other tasks suitable for the Chargers?
Nothing jumps out at me. If I come up with any ideas, I'll let you know.
We'll talk later. What can I do for you? See you later, Bull. Nice talking with you, boss.
Mayor Gregory Dedrick of Crestwood is present for betraying his own constituents. He confesses that, 10 years ago, he flooded Old Crestwood to kill refugees and villagers touched by the Blight. The mayor claims it was to spare the rest of Crestwood, but we only have his word.
What he did can't be overlooked, no matter the motive.
There's no cure for the Blight. But I couldn't convince anyone to leave a sick child or husband behind.
So you herded the infected into one place and flooded Old Crestwood? Were no innocents caught in the waters?
Nearly everyone in the village had the Blight. I swear it. Have mercy. I couldn't tell the survivors I'd drowned their own families to save them. I couldn't.
You committed murder on Ferelden's soil. Let them deal with your punishment. Send him to Denerim, He can live the rest of his life behind their bars.
In prison? Maker. I should have drowned with them.
Inquisitor? If you've... My Lord Inquisitor, it's good of you to speak with me. I have news regarding one of your companions, the Tevinter.
Nothing good, I expect.
If you have reservations about his presence here, I share them. But this is another matter. I have been in contact with his family. House Pavas, out of Carenas. Are you familiar with them?
Why exactly would you be contacting Dorian's family?
I didn't contact them, Inquisitor. They contacted me. The family sent a letter describing the estrangement from their son and pleading for my aid. They've asked to arrange a meeting quietly without telling him. They fear it's the only way he'll come. Since you seem to be on good terms with the young man, I'd hoped...
Just what kind of meeting do they have in mind?
I believe they just want to talk, to understand why Dorian felt he had to come here. Somewhere private, away from Skyhold, but not in Tevinter. You make them nervous, I think. They don't understand why he's here with the Inquisition. They want him to come home.
I imagine you'd be relieved to see him gone.
If this is what it seems, and it works out, it might be better for all concerned.
Why would his family contact you?
Because they don't know you, Inquisitor. I am not of the Imperial Chantry, but they know what I represent. These are parents concerned about the welfare of their son. How could I not do whatever possible? I would speak to the young man myself, but he does not care for me. Thus I come to you. If any good can come of this, we must try.
Are you sure this isn't some kind of trap? I mean, the secrecy.
That did occur to me. What if it is a plot of those mages, the Venatori? Another reason to put this in your hands, Inquisitor. I pray that isn't the case. But if it is, you are far better equipped than I to respond to such treachery.
They don't want Dorian to know? That seems odd.
They believe the young man would refuse, and the letter implies he'd have cause. Yet, they are remorseful for whatever came before. This is a chance for dialogue. There is deceit in bringing the young man to this meeting without his foreknowledge, I know. But does it not lead to a greater kindness if there is potential for reconciliation?
If you think I'm going to trick Dorian into meeting his family...
I feared you might say that. The family will send a retainer to meet the young man at the Red Cliff Tavern, to take him onward. If he truly does not wish this reunion, he can always end the matter there. I pray you change your mind, Inquisitor. Perhaps their letter will persuade you. If there is any chance of success in this, it behooves us to act.
Inquisitor, is it true? Is the mark on your hand magic cast by Corypheus?
Corypheus claimed it's a spell gone wrong.
I wanted to think it was a blessing. A sign the Maker was returning to his creation. How credulous of me.
The anchor's nothing more special than a misfired spell.
At least you had the good fortune to take it from Corypheus. Does it hurt? The anchor, that is.
Not pain, it's more like my nerves go on fire.
It sounds most unpleasant.
I tracked that Venatori mage back to Adamant Fortress. They're looking at assault options now in the war room.
Thanks for coming.
You did well, Varric. The Inquisitor is just who we need.
Oh, it's been great. Murderous wardens, archdemon attacks, plenty of blood mages and crazy Templars. Just like home.
I know how much you hated leaving Kirkwall.
This is the ass end of Thedas. You know they eat snails here? Still, I think I need to finish this out. If it weren't for me and Bartrand, none of this would have happened. So much for changing our lives.
That's what happens when you try to change things. Things change. You can't always control how. I tracked the Wardens to Adamant Fortress, Inquisitor. Your specialists have my full report. Your specialists are waiting inside. I believe they're discussing how to take Adamant.
Any news on rifts beyond reach of the Inquisition?
Yes. And it is not good. Let's see what we have.
Can you arrange what we discussed earlier, Ambassador?
I found the money. The Inquisition will compensate the families of those we lost at Haven.
Thank you.
Inquisitor?
Inquisitor.
Wait, not me.
Hey, boss. See you later, Bo.
Nice talking with you, boss.
You're the Inquisitor, hmm? Honored. Don't ruin it.
Ruin it?
By pretending to something you're not. If you want things just so, what I have to teach will be lost on a fool. Your people asked for an artificer. My name is Three Eyes. Let's get started.
Thank you for coming. Craftsmen are always welcome.
Enough of that. Treat it like a craft, you're dead. The Artificer builds for battle. We survive through detail and efficiency in equal parts. What some forget is that artifice, not artistry, sets the better snare. Save the soul for a showpiece. You don't want to love your toys so much that you're picking rivets off the field. Makers need some distance, dignity.
Not yet. I'll come back to this.
This is a fine fortress. It's very quiet. I wonder if you tire of quiet. I am keen, Inquisitor. I bring the Maelstrom, the Tempest. Are you interested?
You've told me nothing. How can I know?
Then you can sit and wait, or you can leap. They say you're in charge. I say, from where? From the thick of things? From the fore? That's how you create victory. You wade in, smash a glass, make a mess, and change the battle from within. You may think you now lead, but when you're the Tempest, you're someone to follow.
I'm not signing on as a Tempest just yet.
I received a bird. It had a note. Now I am here.
You're here to train me?
Ah, that is it. The Inquisitor wishes to become more than Inquisitor. Perhaps he wishes to walk in shadow, even as he is bathed in light. To save life through inflicting death. Childish notions. The profession of assassin has no time for it.
Your profession has my respect. I'm eager to learn.
Really? We shall see. Let me first say he does not want to be an assassin, any more than he would wish to be a sword or a cudgel. Such are the weapons of others. They lack intent. He must become his own assassin. There is a difference. Let me next say, death has nothing to do with it. Death is the payment, the byproduct. Our way is between life and death. It is a door through which he will send others.
I'm ready to start learning.
He is willing. Will it always be so? There are tasks, processes, ways to train the mind and body. They require simple motions. First steps. Then we shall see what he may become.
That monster. He's a magister. They eat babies and burn everything.
I heard the same about you.
You didn't know. We're not.
Inquisitor.
Inquisitor?
A little bird told me you were part of the Carter Inquisitor.
A little bird?
Well, a big bird. A discreet bird who was drunk at the time.
What you heard was true. I was once part of the Carta.
Not any longer. Too bad. They're an excellent source of cheap contraband. Back home, you see dwarves everywhere. And not just from the Ambassadoria. Rather odd how in the south, everyone thinks of dwarves as merchants. Limited view, in my opinion. Maybe you'll change that. In the future, one will hear dwarf and think Messiah. Down with stereotypes.
Dorian, there's a letter you need to see.
A letter? Is it a naughty letter? A humorous proposal from some Antivan dowager?
Not quite. It's from your father.
From my father? I see. And what does Magister Hallward want, pray tell?
A meeting.
Show me this letter. I know my son? What my father knows of me would barely fill a thimble. This is so typical. I'm willing to bet this retainer is a henchman, hired to knock me on the head and drag me back to Tevinter.
This could be the Venatori. Lure us somewhere remote, then an ambush.
Perhaps. Although this does look like my father's penmanship. Or could he have joined the Venatori? No, that can't. Well, anything is possible. Let's go. Let's meet this so-called family retainer. If it's a trap, we escape and kill everyone. You're good at that. If it's not, I send the man back to my father with a message that he can stick his alarm in his wit's end.
There seems to be bad blood between you and your family.
Interesting turn of phrase. But you're correct. They don't care for my choices, nor I for theirs.
Because you wouldn't get married? Because you left?
That too.
I think you should meet with this retainer. Find out what your family wants.
I didn't ask what you thought, did I? That was unworthy, I apologize. There'd be no harm in hearing what this man of my father's has to say. If I don't like it, however, I want to leave.
That works for me.
I wonder how much my father paid this man to wait around just in case I showed. We'll find out soon enough.
Should we look around?
This isn't going to go away if we don't talk about it, Mother. If I'm a mage, I have to learn how to defend myself against demons attacking me in my dreams.
Look around, you stupid boy. The demons are already attacking us out here.
Good day.